So I know this is a little bit different of a setting. Usually you guys see me in the car or in the truck, and usually I'll probably be back there. But I am trying to expand what I do with my channel and the way that I present information and the way that I talk to you guys. I do believe that transparency is key, and a lot of this I'm doing honestly for myself to help myself out as well. Um, in my life, I've worked hard on my career, try to be the best I can. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of stuff left on the table for me when it comes to how I treat things, especially mental health for myself and even people around me. There's so much to people who focus on their career and focus on being the best at that career that a lot of people really overlook what it takes to be like that. The biggest thing is, you see people who you look at and you're like, oh my gosh, how did they achieve that? How did they get to that level? Or, oh, they put so much time in that. What else do they do, et cetera, et cetera. And I think a lot of the time people don't realize that, um, you know, when you're in that field or in a career that you truly believe in, a lot of the time you neglect other things because you think that if you put all your time and effort into what you believe in, it'll make you the best. And, that does play true for a lot of things, but it also neglects a lot of things. And I think people don't understand why sometimes they have friends that leave or relationships that end. And really, it comes down to the fact that you neglect a lot of external things because you're trying to focus on something that you believe is internally important to you. And I think that's a big issue when it comes to internal and external. Um, you know, that's why I believe in kind of just doing things different with this channel and talking to you guys a little bit differently. I'm definitely going to try different ways to have these videos, maybe set up something different. Uh, and, it's just the start of something that for me is going to help me be able to help with my own self, my own inner self, and also hopefully convey information to y'all. I'm not your typical person in my career field. I'm not really your typical person in a lot of aspects of my life. Athletically, when it comes to really the way I feel about motivation and success, is not something that's very common. You see all these people that write books. You got old Goggins talk about being uncommon around the common and things like that. And I think that's important to understand because a lot of people, I think they read books and they watch videos and they try to get motivated off of that. And they really think that that's something that in a short term is going to make them feel better. But when times get really hard, ain't no video, ain't no book, ain't nothing nobody's going to talk to you about that's going to help you push through that. I'm pretty much my own self motivator. I'm pretty much my own person that does everything that I do for myself. I don't really, rely on anybody else. Um, but being that type of motivator and motivating everybody else and trying to pursue something yourself sometimes leaves a lot on the table. It really does. And I think it's important for people to realize that you may inside not realize that sometimes you're running from something as well, trying to be as successful as you are. It doesn't matter what career field it is. It doesn't matter if it's about getting money. It doesn't matter if it's about racing cars or it could be anything. You could be trying to be the best dad, the best mother, um, best parent, whatever, grandparent, doesn't matter. I think a lot of times that people don't understand that you pushing so hard for something you think might help inside, but it's really not. It's just an external thing as well. The only way you can really help out the inside of your mind and your soul is to really try to understand the path you're on and where you want to go and what you want to do. I look at myself and I want to be the, let's just say, best provider I can in the medical community for what I can do. And I know my career has limits because I know what position I am in my career field, and I get that. Other people may not, but other people just don't want to try to be the best they can within that window, I guess, or within that scope that they can be. So I think that's super important to understand. But for me, because I want to be the best at it, sometimes I work too much. And everybody's like, well, yeah, it's all about that money. And it's not, at the end of the day, it's not. You can still be the best at your craft and still have a good life balance if you know what you're working for. But if you're out just kind of going willy nilly or 100 miles an hour, trying to achieve what you think you need or what you think you want, you just start honestly piling things on one after another, boom, 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 boom. And that's what you're doing. And I think that, you really have to evaluate what you're doing in that regard because, yeah, okay, you're working 3/4 of your life or 3/4 of your week. Think about that. The other quarter, you got to sleep. Doesn't matter what anybody else says about sleep, you still got to sleep. So, what happened to all those interpersonal relationships? What happens to your friends? What happens to your own mental state? Because you don't really get to enjoy hobbies or something fun to do. You're just kind of doing whatever and working all the time. And, you may not even have money saved up because you're spending it as fast as you're getting it. Doesn't mean it because you make $1 million, you're all of a sudden rich if you're spending $1 million. There's so many factors to that type of thinking and that type of mindset. And, a lot of it comes down to the same idea of basically two different ways to look at it, two different schools of thought. You can look at it and say, those people have an addiction and they're just using work as an addiction to basically uh, provide relief from another one that could be more detrimental in regard to physical nature. Also, you can be looking at that as they're trying to hide from something. You sit there and you say that your thoughts are the most dangerous thing. Idle hands, idle mind, do the devil's bidding. And I'm telling you, they do. And that's some of the hardest things to get over. And I was watching a video the other day, and my next video, I'll probably talk about that. But it was very interesting. It was talking about um, basically being alone, isolated, single, and having to deal with those thoughts because at the end of the day, we use so many things to try and basically brush off what's going on in our heads or brush off what's going on in our minds. And I'm very guilty of that. And sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it until it's too late because you think, oh man, it's been 5 to 10 years and you haven't addressed anything. And then all of a sudden, when something goes wrong in your job or something goes wrong in life, now you're stuck and you don't know what to do because you've never addressed it. You didn't even know it was a thing. Um, so kind of trying to evaluate that stuff immediately or know what's going on is super important. And I think that, you know, we, I don't want to say as men, but we as a society believe that people shouldn't think about that stuff. They shouldn't address those things and they shouldn't think that working too hard is an issue when in reality it is. In my field, in the medicine field, I know most of anybody that's in the field can tell you that there's so many people that just overwork all the time. They're just working and working and working. And a lot of those people are either in it because they're addicted to money or they're just have nothing else better to do. They haven't got themselves a hobby or they have another addiction that they can't get rid of. So they just work to get themselves through it. If you're work all day, you can't drink all day, usually. If you're at work all day, you can't do certain stuff. So they believe the positive aspect of money outweighs the negative impact or whatever the negative addiction is. And that's just not how it works. And, I think it's super important for us to kind of start to address those types of situations. Um, my next videos and things, I'm going to keep trying to do better. Keep trying to push with the whole public speaking thing that I do sometimes. So, every so often I might catch myself saying, or thinking or whatever. But I'm gonna try to get more fluent with you guys and try to keep pushing stuff and talking about different things. And every time we're gonna grow a little bit, I'm gonna try and expand this channel to different videos and different um, aspects of it and kind of what we talk about and what we visit. And as I grow myself and I grow this, to just help myself mentally get things out. I hope that maybe it helps somebody along the line, and that's the most important thing to me. So, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll try to do, you know, whenever I can, we'll make one every day, every couple days or so, try to upload something and go from there. But I do want to say I appreciate y'all, and if y'all keep tuning in or keep doing whatever, I appreciate it regardless. But this helps me as much as it might help the next person. So thank y'all.